Hi there, so I'm in a real place of contrasts this morning. So as you can see, we're next to a really beautiful beach. So we're just outside Lagos, so we're really near the retreat centre, Moines Velios, where I do my retreats. And then I'm also sitting within, I don't know, it's like some kind of old disused shelter, I suppose, which is, got a bit more of an urban feel, shall we say. So since we're in such a contrasting environment, I thought it's a good day to do a bit of a blog about yin and yang, and also our connection to our environment and how it affects you. So when we live in a modern day, particularly urban environment, one of the first things that gets skewed in terms of our health is actually our relationship to the natural forces that act on the body. So you might be someone who's really good, eating all the right foods, you might do lots of really healthy, living practices, maybe you have lots of therapies, you do lots of yoga. So you're taking care of your body, from the physiology level. From the physiology level inwards, you're really good at taking care of it. But sometimes what we need to understand is that we're also part of a bigger body of life that acts on us. Just in the same way you've got cells within your body which need to do certain jobs in order to stay healthy, we're almost like a smaller cell within the bigger body of life. Now this is something that I really see people struggling with, and this can be really where you get an extra bit of subtle satisfaction and well-being when you understand how these forces of nature act on you. So the first thing we'll look at is yin and yang. So everything on the planet is subjected to these two forces of yin and yang. So yang is an outward moving force which drives you out into life, into animation. And yin is a downward and inward moving force which takes us inwards. So we can see, on quite a simple level, we do that during the course of a day. So we get up in the morning, we go out into the world, there's light, we act, we have action, we have movement, we have momentum. And then at night we head on inwards when the sun goes down. And the reason this comes about, so this isn't something which doesn't happen by design, it happens because we're part of the bigger matrix of life. And it happens essentially because we've got sunlight. So when the sun is shining down on half the planet, it drives the life underneath it into action. And obviously at the same corresponding time, the other half of the planet is in shade, so everything heads downwards and in. And so you can see it across the course of a day. Let's say the sun comes up in the morning, you move out, and we can obviously see it, and then in the evening the sun goes down, so you move in. You can also see it across the course of a year. So if we start at the deepest point of winter, the winter solstice, where there's the least light, we can see that between winter solstice and summer solstice, we've got this increase in yang energy of light, which drives you out into the world. We stay up longer, we're more active. And then between winter solstice and summer solstice, as light decreases, we can see that we kind of head inwards again. Now when we're a lot younger, we tend to be really good at being attuned to these phases. So the obvious example is you could, observe a child. So, when the sun comes up in the morning, the child gets up, runs around, does lots of things, burns its energy off. And then later on in the evening, when the sun goes down, the child heads inwards and gets some rest. And, we're generally pretty good at staying attuned to those phases, probably around until the mid-teens. And around the mid-teens, it tends to get a little bit compromised and a little bit skewed for people. Because at that time, you might get up in the morning, head out into your life, head out into the world, but maybe you've got a really sedentary job, or maybe at uni or college, you end up sitting down all day, not really moving. So that kind of compromises the functions within you which want to drive you out. So we call those the yang organs. So we've got organs in the body which are actually designed to take you out and get these things done that you need to do. So when you don't really get out during the day and do the things you need to do, these yang organs, they start to get a bit upset because they haven't moved their energy. And then you might come home at night and your yin organs, which are the ones which want to pull you back inside in order to get you resting, they're trying to pull you back inside, but you've got like 25 emails to answer, you've got your TV on, you've got your laptop on, maybe you need to call your boyfriend, girlfriend, wife, husband, you've got an essay you need to get done for tomorrow, the neighbours making loads of noise. So your yin organs, which are trying to pull you into rest, they're also getting really compromised. So we end up in this state where once we had a real nice polarity between yin and yang. So we had this really clear yang phase of moving out with the light and moving inwards with the darkness. And it ends up in a little bit of a wishy-washy mess in the middle where we don't really take our action during the day. And then at night we don't really draw inwards. And then our yin and yang organs within the body, which are designed to keep us aligned to these phases, also start to get compromised. So we need to look at building back into our life a structure which really supports this natural movement of yin and yang. So I've often had people come and see me, like I said, who are health fanatics, but maybe they're overworking and just simply overstimulated, you know, so they might come and see me, perhaps they're working 60 or 70 hours a week, because they've never really thought through what we're meant to do by design. Like what forces actually naturally act on you to keep you balanced. So like I said, the fact the sun comes up in the morning will naturally activate you and draw you out, and the fact the sun goes down at night naturally takes you back inside. And for whatever reason, it's just not really registered on the psyche that happens, because again, we're very shielded from all these natural forces. You know, and then similarly, you get people sometimes who come and see me or might be going through phases of really sitting on their energy. You know, maybe they're a little bit tired, and then they stop going out and moving out into the world with the light. And again, that's equally as bad for your health. So if we can, ideally, you know, when the sun comes up in the morning, we go out, we get out into the world and do things that we need to do. And we flow with that natural volition of our energy, your natural capacity for outward movement you flow with, until it starts to switch and then starts to come back inside. So then you need to build in practices which also allow you to head back in. So when you come home at night, you know, sometimes we need to reduce the stimulation a little bit, particularly before you go to bed. So otherwise, I said, you get to bed being really overstimulated and switched on. And if we go through a prolonged phase of overstimulation, it sometimes doesn't even really matter when you take the stimulus away, because the organs have become so overstimulated that they stay switched on in that state. And that's a bit like when you go on holiday, you know, and we say it takes us a little while to unwind, because the organs, because of your circadian rhythm, have stayed wired. So even though you might be sitting in a place that feels quiet and still, your whole mind's still racing, the body's still full of tension, because you've become chronically overstimulated and chronically stressed, essentially. And that's when we're looking at, obviously, needing some kind of therapy, some kind of therapeutic assistance on the body to get that balance back. Okay, so that's the first thing you need to look at then, is your balance, your natural flow of yin and yang. And some people are calibrated a bit more yang, so they're naturally more outgoing. Some people are calibrated more yin, so they're naturally more inwards. But just take a look, have a think about it in your life. How good are you at attuning to these phases?